Let's bring in Chris Stigall.
He is Chris Stigall.
Chris Stigall.
I'm joined now by Chris Stigall.
Host of the Chris Stigall Show.
So let's bring in talk radio host Chris Stigall.
Also, his podcast is a must-listen every day. Chris Stigall Show podcast.
And host of the Chris Stigall Show.
Let's bring in Chris Stigall.
Please welcome Chris Stigall.
The Chris Stigall podcast is presented by usmedicalplan.com. Save big money monthly and get better health coverage at usmedicalplan.com.
Hey there, thanks a lot for downloading the Chris Stigall Show podcast. I know there are many, many podcasts you could choose from, so that you choose us is not a small thing. Thank you. Thanks for the 5-star reviews. Thanks, as always, for your written reviews at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I want to tell you about my friend in Cincinnati named John Ruhlman. Now, he runs a company called U.S. Medical Plan. And John has been a sponsor of mine and a friend of mine for a long while. And he has gotten calls from this audience, including calls from my own family, calls from colleagues and friends of mine who have shopped with him their current health insurance plan. And he has saved friends and family thousands of dollars, literally. Let me give you a for example. I have a friend who bought private health insurance for his family. His daughter had some special health needs that cost him quite a bit of money a month to get premiums covered for all of them. John found him identical coverage and saved him $2,000 a month. That's jaw-dropping money. My parents called John for a supplemental health insurance plan for their Medicare. John saved them $400 a month. Now, every nickel is precious, particularly when you're sitting on an income that you've got to count on for the rest of your days and you're counting your change. $400 is a lot of money. All right, so that's what John can do for you. Or maybe if you have no health insurance at all and you think it's too expensive, I can't afford it right now. He has over 100 different private health insurance companies all over the country that he shops and compares so that he gets you the best rates and never cheats you on coverage, by the way. It doesn't mean it's some scant coverage. Great rates, great coverage. Let John and his team at usmedicalplan.com go to work for you today. You can also call 877-410-4321. 877-410-4321, usmedicalplan.com.
You're tougher than all of them.
Let's bring in Chris Stigall.
He is Chris Stigall. Chris Stigall.
You have a great show. You have a highly rated show, too, by the way.
Please welcome Chris Stigall.
This is the Chris Stigall Show.
Okay, how we doing, everybody? Hope your weekend was good. It feels like a Monday around here. We're going to get through it, though. Our telephone number, 855-STIGAL. Phone's working. Everything's looking good on the Salem News Channel. Beautiful shot of Los Angeles this morning. Everything's sounding great on our great radio affiliates all over the country. I think we're now firing on all cylinders. It just took us a half hour to get there. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, however you're here, we're glad you're here. If you're a podcast listener, grab that so that you never miss an episode. You can always, not that you would want to miss this. In fact, this might be an episode you might want to miss, depending on how the rest of it goes. But anyway, if you want to get caught up on previous episodes, you can go to chrisstigall.com and get our podcast, as well as, we've got a lot of video, great video up at the Salem News Channel, too. And if you don't have that app, that's an easy one to use. Go to chrisstigall.com and you can find all of that. All right. Very quickly, and I'm going somewhere with this. I know this is not why you tune in, and I understand a lot of you are wondering, Stigall, why are you beating around the bush? I'm not. I'm actually going to start with something that actually dovetails nicely with where I want to go. Fast Eddie, I did something I typically do not do over the weekend. I went to the movies. I had a little time on Saturday night, and I said, you know what, wife, let's go see a movie. It's been a while. Let's do it. You want to guess what I saw? I bet you know.
I do. Truth, Justice, and the American Way, Chris. Dun, dun, dun.
I did.
Superman.
I went to see Superman. And can I tell you something? I was not disappointed with it. Now, I realize I didn't read any reviews or anything until after I got out of it. When I got home, I read the reviews have not been kind to it. Incidentally, like film snobs, comic book snobs, and whatnot, people have not really been gushing about it. A few here and there, but most of them were not great. Now, I'm not going to be a spoiler guy. I'm going to try not to, because I know a lot of you still haven't seen it. So if you want to go see it, I don't know, maybe you want to tune out for a second, but I'm going to try really hard not to tell you anything about the plot. Well, yeah, there might be one thing I'm going to have to tell you about the plot. So, Ed, does that bother you? Should I not do that yet because it's too new, or do you care? You're not going to go see it?
Yeah, you know me and Superman, dude. I probably won't see this movie until, my kid maybe asks someday. I don't know.
Okay, it's a different take, and it's an interesting new spin on the. And I don't know a lot about Superman or comic book stuff, but It did very well over the weekend, 217 million in ticket sales and climbing. This is probably one of the best kind of original summertime Hollywood blockbusters we've seen in a while. Now, James Gunn, the writer-director of this film, he made all kinds of waves when he said that we're a nation of immigrants and you're Superman's an immigrant and all of this business. And then he kind of tried to soft pedal that back and, well, it's just about being kind. Can't we all just get along and be kind? Because he knew some commentators started saying that this was going to be a woke Superman and, that he was going to destroy the franchise. I couldn't say for sure, but I didn't see or hear any reviews early from people that had screened it that suggested it was some woke, politicized thing. James Gunn is, he's of Hollywood, he's of the left. But I thought to myself, could they butcher Superman like they butchered Snow White? Could they really do that? I almost wanted to go see it for myself. A franchise, an institution, a comic book hero like Superman, could you actually politicize it, I said to myself. And in some sick way, I wanted to challenge myself, and I went. I'm here to tell you, it was not politicized. In fact, Eddie, I'm going to just tell you the truth. It was remarkably free of anything political that I could spot. And, we're sensitive to that sort of thing. I was watching. I was listening. There were no politics. In fact, if you want to know the truth, whether James Gunn intended it to be or not, this movie was the antithesis of woke. It was actually pretty traditional. And it actually had some pretty conservative themes. And it actually had one strain through it. And yes, I am going to have to be a bit of a spoiler. So I apologize. If you don't want to hear this, then turn away. And you've been warned in 3, 2, 1. So Superman's an alien. Okay, we all know that. Superman has come from a different planet and he's inhabiting Earth now, and we know that he was raised by his farm family in Kansas, right? That's an old part of the plot line. But what do you know? You don't know much about the comic book thing, and I don't think I did either. Superman's parents from Krypton. Do you know the story of that? He was sent from Krypton. Krypton was destroyed. There was a videotaped message from his parents that was kind of lost in translation that was sent along with him. He now lives on Earth, and he has these robots in his lair that he works alongside, and they show video of his old parents to make him feel better. And they talk about sending him to Earth, but then the message gets all garbled and broken up. And the interesting plot line in this particular new Superman film is Lex Luthor, the bad guy, infiltrates Superman's lair, finds the videotape message of his original parents from Krypton, and stitches together and plugs the holes of this garbled message that didn't really make it in translation when Superman was transported here to planet Earth. And so for years and years, he's been watching his loving parents from Krypton on this video message, but not getting the full message. Lex Luthor ends up putting the full message together, and the full message is the parents tell him, here's what we want you to do. Since Krypton's going to be destroyed, I'm shorthanding this, go to Earth, grow up, and then we want you to conquer Earth, Fast Eddie. That's what his parents actually order him to do. Now, I don't know if that's you comic book people will have to fill me in. I don't know. But the plot line of this movie is his original parents, who are now dead and gone. Lex Luthor has put together the videotape that says his parents want him to destroy the Earth, conquer it, rule it, and all of Earth is to be subservient to Superman, and he's to create a new Krypton out of Earth.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you familiar with that plot line? Have you ever heard that before?
No, I haven't. I didn't know that Superman had parents on Krypton. I thought he just, popped up in Kansas. But if I'm not mistaken, Lex Luthor is the bald guy, and he's bad, right? Traditionally.
That's right.
Okay.
Played originally by Gene Hackman, the late great Gene Hackman,
yes.
in the original film with Christopher Reeve. So, why am I telling you this? I know you think this is just me wasting your time with a film review. No, I'm not. Listen to me. Listen closely to what I just said. The parents sent Superman to inhabit Earth, conquer it, take it over, and rule over it. Superman has been raised by his earthly parents in Kansas. And there's a scene where he goes to visit his earthly parents in Kansas, and he's all tortured and tormented because this video has now been stitched together. Lex Luthor has shown the whole planet Superman's parents' original intentions, and this is twofold, I am going somewhere with this, and it actually dovetails with the current events of today, believe it or not. Lex Luthor has now taken this videotape, and he has disseminated it across the planet, and he's telling everybody on planet Earth that Superman is not, in fact, the hero you believe him to be, that, in fact, he's a really bad guy. He's been compromised, and he's here to take everybody over, Fast Eddie. Superman is not here to be a good guy, truth, justice, the American way, and save planet and save people from peril. He's actually here to take it over, and we have the videotape to prove it. Roll the tape. And so Luthor plays this tape of his original parents saying, go down there and conquer Earth. So everybody turns against him, Fast Eddie.
Okay.
The whole planet turns against him, and everybody hates Superman now. And now they're scared of him, and they think, holy crap, you lied to us. We thought you were this guy, and now we're being told you're this guy? We don't trust you. We don't believe in you. We think you're a bad guy here to rule over us. Everybody turns against him and starts to favor Lex. Meanwhile, Superman goes home to his original parents, and his original parents effectively say, after some touchy-feely stuff, you don't have to conquer the Earth. You could just be the good guy that you thought you were here to be. Like, just because your old dead parents on Krypton said take over the planet, you can still just be a good guy and save people's lives. And he's like, yeah, I can just save people's lives. And so, what's my point? Twofold. Number one, remember James Gunn last week? Everybody was saying, we're a nation of immigrants, and Superman's an alien, and he came here. What does Superman do? What in that story that I just told you, what's the point? He was sent from a foreign planet to invade this place and take it over. And instead, what did he ultimately conclude to do with his American earthly parents? Fast Eddie, what did I just tell you? A story of assimilation.
That's right. I was going to say that. I didn't want to use the word, but you're right. Yes. He assimilated to the U.S. He has these extraordinary powers, and now he's going to use those powers for good, not conquer or infiltrate or whatever.
The movie, Eddie, the movie was about an alien who assimilated. Now, I don't know if James Gunn wrote the damn thing and directed it and then went out and made that statement last week. I don't know if he missed it. I don't know if he didn't understand his own plot line. The movie is literally about a guy who came from a different place, came here, and assimilated. Despite the government or the people or his parents or whatever from a different place that said go over there and kick their butts and rule over it, he said, no, these are good people. I'm here to take care of them and assimilate and be part of them. I love them. I love people. I want to assimilate. So that's one part of it. It's a story of assimilation. An alien who comes here and assimilates. It's a wonderful story. And by the way, whoever the guy is that plays him, terrific. This is like very original in keeping with if you like the Christopher Reeve version of the first film, way back in the, 70s or whatever. You're going to love this guy. He's a fantastic actor. He does a great job. It's this kind of gee golly, aw shucks, all-American guy. You're going to love it. I promise. If you thought, well, I'm going to go and be disappointed, you won't be. Now, here's the other part. Lex Luthor. What did I tell you? Number one, he starts disseminating all this information to everyone who loved Superman, trying to convince him that he's a rotten guy and up to no good. All of a sudden, trying to get people to just turn on him and take in videotape that, had not been previously seen, including by Superman, and trying to convince the globe that he is not who he's always been. Despite everything that everyone had seen out of Superman, saving people's lives, saving things from crumbling and crashing and people, old ladies being run over and all of this stuff every time, cats up trees and the whole thing, despite a body of evidence that says Superman has done nothing but good and saved people's lives on planet Earth, Lex Luthor comes along and convinces planet Earth Superman's a bad guy. And he has created, and I'm going to try not to go down a rabbit hole in trying to explain this plot because I don't want to overcomplicate it for the story. So oversimplifying this to say, Lex Luthor also divulges that he has this entire universe
2 minutes
of monkeys, and it's kind of fitting that it's monkeys. It's a whole universe of monkeys on keyboards doing what? Not kidding, this is an actual reference in the film. Social media trolls. He has a whole farm of monkeys pounding away on keyboards doing what? Round the clock trying to convince everyone on social media back on planet Earth that Superman's a rotten, mean, no good SOP. Ed, does that sound remarkably similar to what we're living through right now? Somebody coming along and trying to convince you that Superman's not the guy we all thought he was, and has a whole army of bots and trolls trying to convince everybody on social media that Superman's not the guy they thought he was?
It seems like a timely tale from Mr. Gunn, because yes, that could be ripped right out of the news today.
I'm telling you, I watched that and I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was watching. In many ways, it's literally what we're watching right now. I'll stitch it more together if you're not following me yet, coming up. Good morning, Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for listening. Throughout the Peach State, we're looking at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there. Not been there yet. I'd like to go see that dome one of these days. Telephone number 855-STIGAL. If you're watching on the Salem News Channel, that's a lovely live shot of you guys in Georgia this morning. Thanks for listening, as I said, on great radio stations all over the country, including throughout Georgia. And thanks for supporting our great sponsors. Superman has a dog in this new movie, too. Get his name. Crypto? I don't remember. But anyway, I know that I can already hear the comic book people screaming at me. Anyway, and cute addition to the movie. But anyway, whether you have a dog, a super dog, or an older dog like mine, Rough Greens wants to talk to you, because I'll tell you something. If your dog reacts to Rough Greens the way my dog Dean has, you're going to see a difference in him quick. Maybe he or she doesn't eat as he's gotten older. Is that the case? Maybe the diet is just not great. For some reason, you can't get him to eat food. Sprinkle a tablespoon of Rough Greens on top of this thing. Live nutrients that Dr. Dennis Black, a naturopathic doctor, created. And watch the dog gobble up food. Look, my dog ate anyway. Dean loves to eat. But now, what's interesting, he won't eat until we sprinkle the Rough Greens on top of his food. But I've heard countless people, including my colleague Glenn Beck, who's endorsed Rough Greens in the past, his dog wouldn't eat. And Dr. Black introduced him to Rough Greens, and then the dog started eating. It's live nutrients just like any of the rest of us would need and want. You know, it's even you guys that don't like vegetables all that much, every now and again you feel like you got to have a salad, right? That's the same with your dog. This leads to shinier coat and less scratching and better digestion. And Dr. Black is so confident your older dog is going to love it. It's going to help with joints. It's hopefully going to ward off future illnesses. It's going to help with that shinier coat, joint pain and stiffness, scratching, licking. All that stuff goes away with Rough Greens. Free Jumpstart trial bag, $20 value. You get it for free. Just cover shipping, and Dr. Black will send it to you. RUFFgreens.com. RUFFgreens.com, or call 214-ROUGH-DOG. Either way, use my name, Chris, to get that free sample bag. Just pay for shipping. 214-ROUGH-DOG or RUFFgreens.com. $217 million in ticket sales, and I don't know how many people were thinking about it as deeply as I was, but I assume if you are political and you were watching Superman as I was, you saw the parallels. There are a lot of people right now, and I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to say names. In fact, I've pledged that I'm not going to drop names. I'm not going to get into personality slap fights here, but I'm just going to tell you right now, there are a lot of Lex Luthors in our midst, Fast Eddie. I don't know how else to put it. There are a lot of Lex Luthors in our midst. For whatever reason, whatever it is that motivates them, I don't know. But apparently they seem to think they've been elected president, not Donald Trump. Apparently they seem to think that because they've shared a microphone with Donald Trump on rally stages or whatever, they now get to dictate and determine what Donald Trump does and his decisions that he makes, not Donald Trump. So that's my first parallel. And as such, they're now trying to convince everybody who's voted for Donald Trump and been excited about him that they shouldn't be, that he's now somehow some kind of turncoat. That about right?
Yeah, unfortunately, especially after this weekend. Yep.
Yeah. Is Donald Trump a turncoat? I mean, you know, it's interesting yesterday that on this very week, tail end of last week, this weekend, that all of this chatter about Donald Trump and the deep state and all of this stuff, and he's caved and blah, 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 blah. Isn't it interesting on the same weekend as the weekend that we're all reminded we came within a millimeter of losing him entirely and his head being blown off, Ed? Isn't there some irony in that?
It's shocking. It's like a full year has passed, and I don't know why our side was spending as much time as they were. I'm just going to say it, trashing him over the weekend as we come up on an anniversary like that. It was just unreal.
Yeah, and as for, Trump, he came out and, basically addressed this and said, I can't understand this. I don't know what this is about. I don't know where this comes from. I'll just read what he wrote. If for some reason you didn't see it on Truth Social, what's going on with my boys, and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein, over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration, who conned the world with Russia, hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. Now, what do you think that means? I don't know. I'm asking. What do you think it means when he says they, meaning Obama, Brennan, Comey, that whole corrupt crew, that they created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Steele dossier? Is he saying that it doesn't exist, Ed? Or is he saying they created this story to damage him? What do you think that means? I'm just asking for interpretation. I don't have an idea. Do you have a thought or no?
I in the way Trump is saying it there, I believe that he's saying that maybe they did create the story that there was a file.
Because he goes on to say, I think you might be right, because he goes on to say, why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt me or the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? It's a wonderful question, right? I mean, that is the next logical question. For those of you that would say that this thing is chock-a-block full of things that would damage Trump and all kinds of Republicans, why in the world would the American left not use it, Ed? Would be a great next question, right?
Absolutely. And that's honestly one of the things that's kind of been keeping me grounded through all this is, yes, if the left had a hold of that and Trump was implicated in any way, you better believe it. There'd be years of releases from them.
You know, also, for those that say this implicates Israel, that he's an Israeli spy, do you know who hates Israel? Barack Obama. Barack Obama is he's an Islamist. I'm convinced of it. Barack Obama thinks the Muslim call to prayer is the most beautiful sound he's ever heard in his life. He hates Benjamin Netanyahu. He's as disrespectful to Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel as any president we've ever had. We had 12 years of Barack Obama, effectively, with the husk and him. 12 years. So let me ask you something. Why would the husk, with all of these radical anti-Semites around him, by the way, he's out now and saying, yeah, I used the... Yeah, sure, I let him use the auto pen.
30 seconds.
He said, I could barely keep up with all the pardons and clemency. Somebody had to fill in for me for the auto pen. He's admitting that. But anyway, all of these people are the same Obama foreign policy. They hate Israel. So if you've got a file full of a guy that's, got Trump caught up in child sex or it's Israeli-based, why in the world wouldn't Barack Obama, of all people, weaponize it against Donald Trump? I think it's a wonderful question. More in a minute. Back again for Balance of Nature. And in the Maha movement, one thing we all care about is what's in the container, the ingredients. You flip that thing over, and if you can't pronounce it and you don't recognize it, you put it back. I've seen my kids doing this now. They're very health conscious that way. I like that. And the next generation seems to be more so, and that's why I tell them Balance of Nature, and you can feel good about it too. Balance of Nature is just that. It's nothing more than natural fruit and vegetable, plucked right from the soil. No binders, no additives, no fillers. Harvested ingredients that are freeze-dried into a fine powder, and then they use an advanced vacuum cold process to better preserve the nutritional value in that powder. You can know with confidence that you're talking about 31 ingredients that are strictly fruits and vegetables. Every single day, that's what you get in your Balance of Nature. Imagine a platter with 31 different fruits and vegetables on it. Join me. Take some Balance of Nature and get healthy. Use that discount code CHRIS. 35% off plus free shipping when you do. You got to use the discount code CHRIS, though. All right, so here it is again, the number 800-2468-751. Use the discount code CHRIS or order online, balanceofnature.com. Discount code CHRIS to get that 35% off plus free shipping.
Hey there, it's Chris Stigall. You know, this past summer, I went on a cruise with Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Mike Gallagher, my Salem radio colleagues, and I met so many listeners like you who have been on my PhD weight loss program journeys, and I decided for myself it was time to jump in. I wanted to give this Dr. Ashley everybody's been talking about call myself. Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team customize plans for your body to make weight loss simple, and they provide 80% of your food at no additional cost. They treat your whole person, and so I've decided to join so many of you. Join Sebastian Gorka. Join Mike Gallagher and all the weight they've lost. I'd like to do it myself. I've decided to call up my PhD weight loss. I hope you'll join me. Maybe we can start this weight loss journey together. Reach out, get started. Tell them I sent you and said hi. I'd love to hear how you're doing at 864-664-1900. That's 864-664-1900 or myphdweightloss.com. Don't forget to tell them Chris Stigall is going to start losing weight with you.
Good morning, Las Vegas, Nevada. Looking at you this morning, a live shot of the Strip. If you're watching on the Salem News Channel, thanks for listening in Vegas, our great affiliate there, and all across the country on hundreds of great radio stations. And you can always catch our show via podcast later if you'd like at chrisstigall.com or wherever you stream podcasts. 3 times a week newsletter, the Harumph Society, coming out today. I have some thoughts, in fact, extended thoughts. It was actually based around something Scott Adams wrote on X over the weekend. You know, Scott Adams, who basically was sentenced to death battling cancer, and he said, I probably had weeks to live, and now he has found that there's a therapy that he's taken that has extended his life, and I'm sure glad, because he wrote something pretty profound over the weekend on X. I'm going to share it with you in a minute about this entire Epstein thing as it relates to Trump, and it was the whole basis of my newsletter today, or at least the monologue in my newsletter. I've been thinking a lot about this over the weekend, as I'm sure you have if you're a Trump enthusiast, as I am. And you can get in here at 855-STIGAL if you'd like to, 855-784-4255. In fact, let's go to Irma in Texas to kick off this hour. Let's take some calls. And by the way, you know what I did pledge I'm going to do? I'm going to spend a little more time until we get through this. If you're listening to this show and for some reason you feel like, you know, I just don't think Stigall's being whatever, fill in the blank, fair, accurate, whatever. Here's the thing that I need you to know about me, and you're just going to have to believe me. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I need you to believe something about me. I have absolutely, other than Sebastian Gorka, who I count as a friend, I have absolutely no one else in this administration whatsoever directly that I can think of. I have a couple of professional friends inside the administration, tangentially related, professional. But Seb is maybe it. Eddie, I'm just kind of auditing myself here. I've been thinking about this so that I can share this with this audience. I am not in any way, shape, matter, or form directly tied to the White House. I don't have personal friendships inside the West Wing. I don't have people with whom I'm texting. I can't call up the president. I can't call up his chief of staff, his deputies. The only person that I could reach out to is Seb, and I don't. And on the rare occasion that I have and asked him a question about this or that, it's not like Seb's going to chat me up about it. And most of the times he said, I don't know. Because believe it or not, in an administration full of thousands of people, they're not all being told everything about each other's movements every minute of every day. Seb is in a very specific counterterrorism wing of the administration. So Eddie, my point is, in starting this conversation today, and as we go forward in this conversation, I have no personal. I don't know what anybody that would suggest I'm like trying to shill or protect or deflect or whatever for Donald Trump or anybody inside this administration. You know what I'm saying, Ed? We don't have that. It doesn't exist. Believe me, it doesn't exist. If it did, Donald Trump would be on the show a hell of a lot more, first of all, right?
My anxiety would be a whole lot lower if you knew more than just Seb in the administration, sir. I can promise you that. I would be a lot calmer.
How hard is it? In fact, you know what? How hard is it? How hard is it to get access to this White House? To be perfectly honest. Now, I have always given Donald Trump and his campaign credit for being accessible and answering questions, and they do. And Trump answers more questions and spends more time talking to the press than any other president. So I'm not making this about me. I'm actually saying all this to make a very important point to this audience as we talk about all of this going forward. As accessible as he is, we've been to the White House a couple of times on an invite. We're grateful that they respect the show, and they respect, more importantly, this audience. They know who you are. They'd like to talk to you. They want to reach you, and so they reach out to us to extend the invitation so that you can hear from them. We appreciate that. But, Ed, if you just dial up the White House, can we just book anybody we want from the White House any day of the week?
That's a big negative, Chris. Now, going a step further, even I don't want to give too much, but going a step further, it's been a lot of if I call up, it's just like, okay, here's the deputy to the deputy to the deputy. It's like, thank you.
Yeah. If anything, since Donald Trump's been elected, it's gotten more challenging to reach most of the principals. We've had a couple of cabinet secretaries on, and I'm not complaining. I'm setting the table for this discussion because I want you to know who I am. I have no financial means or benefits or ties to this administration. I have no personal friendships in this administration. I'm not angling for a job. I'm a show host. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been through multiple presidential administrations. Hell, I wasn't even a Donald Trump fan in 2015. That's all changed since his home was raided and he was shot in the head. Almost. And I've gone through that before. But other than that, and my belief that he wants what's best for the country, and he has shown in 6 months' time he wants what's best for this country, I'm an enthusiastic backer and supporter of his. That's it. And I just need you to know that. Full transparency. So all the people that you hear talking about Donald Trump right now, and by people, you know who I mean. I don't need to name names. You know who I mean. You know what they have that I don't? Personal friendships and relationships with Donald Trump. Literally every high-profile person that is now calling for him to do something they want him to do, they all operate from a place of, I think, I don't know how to say this, Eddie, inflated sense of self. Donald Trump has invited each and every one of these people onto his grand stages, his rallies. He's brought them into the fold. And by the way, can we just point out that nearly all of these people were visceral, outspoken critics of his during his first administration? Now, I was not warm to him prior to his election. Once he was elected, I was blown away in his first term. And by the time his first term was over, you know, I'd have walking over broken glass for this guy. And I still feel that way today. Interestingly, a lot of the people that are now claiming that he's compromised or whatever, they hated his guts to begin with. And if you actually hit rewind and go back to a lot of these people, nearly every one of them were pretty stridently anti-Trump at one point. Ed, am I right or am I right?
You're absolutely right. Yes. People, there's a lot of revisionist history going on with how Trump was received back in 2015, 16, 17. Yeah. Come on.
So I would just, here again, I'm going to say, just broadly speaking, I think it's important everybody just do an audit of where things are and who's doing all the chattering, who's saying what, and what did they used to say. That's important. So let me get to Irma here in Texas. I'm sorry, Irma. I didn't mean to tee you up and then go on that tangent, but I needed to get that out of the way. So Irma, good morning. Welcome in.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How about you?
Great. Doing great. I just wanted to comment that on the Epstein files, that we cannot all be stuck on stupid and not know that before Donald Trump came in office the second time, that they did not get those files and get rid of them. Everybody knows that they shredded stuff left and right before he came into office. And I just can't believe, especially if you're a mega like I am, I voted 3 times for him. I voted early for him. And if he was to go a third time for office, I would try to push that, because he's never been dishonest with us to that point, to the point of hurting his people that voted for him. These people that are weak-minded, quit acting like a Democrat. Get off your horse and walk beside your horse.
What do you think's going on here, Irma? Can you read it? What's going on?
We're just spending too much time on nothing. Nothing. If we're gonna talk about pedophiles, we need to start with Joe Biden touching all the kids that came through the White House. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you're going to go pedophile on us, then you need to jump on the other side, because that's the agenda that they push. You know, get over it. Quit spending so much time, mega people. Quit spending so much time on nothing. You know, sure, people, you know, people got hurt. You know, anytime there's a war, people get hurt. Anytime there's pedophiles, people get hurt. But, you know, the public needs to understand that before he walked in the White House, they were shredding left and right.
Irma, did you hear me? I don't know if you were listening earlier. Did you hear me talking about the new Superman movie, Lex Luthor in the new movie, and what he was doing with Superman, what he was trying to do with the people of Earth, trying to talk them against Superman, convince them that Superman was a bad guy? Sound kind of familiar?
Yeah. I mean, we mega people, we need to just get over it because you're starting to sound like a Democrat. And if you're going to go that route,
I appreciate it. Listen, I will just say this. I will say this again. Let me say again. I'm not mad at you that you care about the Epstein files. I don't think it's an unimportant matter. I guess as a throwaway line, I'll keep saying this. I'm not a Pam Bondi enthusiast. I share that point of view. I don't find her that impressive, but you know what the thing is? Here's what Donald Trump said again this weekend, and I didn't get to all of his message, but he said, the left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, and the like. But he said Pam Bondi is fantastic, and he said, I don't understand these attacks on her. Stay with her. She's great. Hang on. More in a second. Here's looking at you, Texas. A live shot at Dallas, Texas this morning. 6:60 a.m. The Answer. Home to our friend Mark Davis. Fantastic audience there in Texas. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. And thanks to Texas Bullion Exchange for being great sponsors. Speaking of Texas. Your dollar just doesn't go as far as it used to. I think everybody understands that. One thing that has held up over the decades, gold. And that's why so many people work with the good people headquartered down there in Texas at Texas Bullion Exchange to put real physical gold into their savings. It's not about a get-rich-quick thing. It's about protecting what you've already earned. You know what they do at Texas Bullion Exchange that I really appreciate? It's kind of like, if you want, a 401k match with precious metal. Everything that you put in at Texas Bullion Exchange into gold, they match with 3% bonus in silver. So everything you put in, they put a 3% bonus in silver on top of it. That protects the value of your gold, so when it's time to sell, you get paid at least what you were into it for. Typically, gold doesn't lose money anyway. But there you get what it's worth and usually then some. And that takes the pressure off. You're not watching the markets up and down and up and down and up and down. Gold is solid. It stays put. And with that 3% match in silver, Texas Bullion Exchange, they've got you. They'd love to talk to you about it. Not a high-pressure deal, but if you're curious about it and you've had a lot of anxiety watching the markets tick up and down, or maybe you've got just cash sitting dormant and you think, maybe I should put it in something a little more safe, Texas Bullion Exchange would love to talk to you about that. 855-839-2728. Tell them Chris said hi. 855-839-2728, or visit buytexasgold.com. There's a guy on X called Clandestine. That's his name. And he's been posting over the weekend on this whole Epstein kerfuffle, Trump's post. I was reading part of it. I only got halfway through it. In which Trump said, Pam Bondi, let her do her job. She's great. The 2020 election, rigged and stolen. They tried to do the same thing in 24. That's what she's looking into as the AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this guy Clandestine said, one thing is for certain, Trump is trying to tell us that there is more to this story that we don't know. Remember earlier I read you the part of this where he said that they created, they being Obama, Hillary, Biden, they created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Steele dossier they used on me. So Clandestine here is saying, it seems Trump is suggesting the files may have been doctored before he showed up in 2017. Maybe the real ones have been hidden or destroyed or whatever, but no doubt there are layers to this that we don't understand. And given the situation is still ongoing and investigations are currently open, it makes sense that they can't tell us everything right now and have to be indirect and secretive. Trump also uses a particular choice of words which are peculiar, that Epstein never dies. Interpret that as you will, but it seems that there could be something to that statement, or maybe nothing at all. I'm not sure. He said another line that jumps out is when Trump says that we are playing right into their hands, suggesting that many are falling for a trap. Trump is telling us that this infighting and hysteria is part of an operation to derail Trump's momentum. The enemy is weaponizing MAGA's emotional fix with Epstein and using it to divide. In conclusion, he writes, Trump is trying to tell us the situation is complex. There are things that he cannot reveal yet, but the hunt is underway. Trump and his team are currently investigating Comey and Brennan, and thus, by extension, Hillary and Obama. Let Trump do what he said he would do. He doesn't operate on your timeline, and we don't have all the information. Patience, writes this guy clandestine on X. I agree with that summary. Similarly, Scott Adams on X over the weekend. And I think it's, again, worth considering. What don't we know? He said it this way. If you see the Epstein story as a crime story, which of course it is, you probably favor maximum disclosure of everyone and everything involved, including innocent people, like a typical court case. But if you see the Epstein story as something bigger involving more than one nation, you might see it as a commander-in-chief issue, meaning the public is not meant to have the full story, similar to most national defense issues. We elect a president to decide, in part, what the public can safely see. Would you favor full disclosure if you knew it would derail a peace negotiation? Or if it meant an end to Republican control in Congress and plunge the Democrats back into power with an open border hellscape? If you can't say what you would give up to get the full Epstein disclosure you crave, you're not a serious person, said Scott Adams. Now, Dan Bongino reportedly, as the day wrapped up Friday and as the week wrapped up, Dan Bongino apparently, they say, in a huff with Pam Bondi, left. Now, Trump posts yesterday that he talked to Dan and everything's copacetic. Everything's fine. That Dan's coming back to work. Kash Patel also said, everything's good here. I'm coming back to work. I will also note, those of you who've called me and said, we needed Matt Gaetz. Do you know what Matt Gaetz said over the weekend? He said, everybody in the Trump administration has my full support. Matt Gaetz. He didn't trash Bondi. Matt Gaetz said, I'm with him. Kash said, I'm here. I'm good. We're good. I don't know about Bongino yet. Don't know. We'll see if he shows up for work. Trump says he's good. Steve Bannon, incidentally, did not call for Pam Bondi's resignation, said we need a special counsel. She should step aside and let a special counsel handle this. And, of course, for good measure, I will add that while Steve's been at the Turning Point conference and saying that, Elon Musk has suggested Steve Bannon's on the list that Trump won't release. Who are you going to trust, ladies and gentlemen? The question is, who are you going to trust? Beautiful shot. Looking at the Art Museum down the Parkway this morning in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Good morning to my friends, our affiliate at AM 990 The Answer. Home base, if you will. Let me get a quick call in here. David is in Atlanta, waiting patiently. Hey, David, I'm glad you called this morning. Thanks a lot. Hi.
Hi. How come Pam Bondi hasn't gone after employers? That big pot farm they had, 200 people, 10 kids. That's a RICO thing. That's human trafficking. Under the law, the government should be going in there, seize everything, arrest the employers. But they're doing all these perp walks with the tail end. But unless you go after the employers, you're wasting your time because they'll just hire more illegals. We're not seeing any pressure on employers of illegals.
Yeah, it's a great question and one I will ask. Do we know for sure that's not happening yet? I assume you're somebody that probably has issue with Trump talking about things like hoteliers and ag and temporary work. Some people are calling it amnesty. Trump wants you to know he doesn't call it amnesty, but the idea that some of these people, again, setting the pot farming aside, but that some of these people are here illegally but have been doing work for years and years on these farms. What do you say about that?
Well, they have H-2A visas. They have another visa program for hotel seasonal workers. I'm not sure why Trump wants to add another visa program. I don't think he understands all that, but I do know farmers, a lot of them don't like to use H-2A visas because it's regulated and, you have to pay them the wage, prevailing wage. And I think you have to also ensure they have medical insurance, all that stuff. So it's easier just to ignore it, like a lot of regulations. So it's there, and it's been in place for years. We even had a program back in the 60s called Bracero, I think, where they would bring people in for 6 months, but the unions hated it, so they got rid of it. But I don't mind if you bring a guy in legally, okay, and the farmer has to pay his fair share. But they've avoided it. So I'm not sure how Trump's going to get around the group of people that just don't want to follow whatever new program he implements.
Yeah, interesting. So as far as Bondi is concerned specifically, you led with her. I assume you have frustration with her. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't see it. She loves to run to Fox News. So does the DHS person. Hey, run over there and get that SWAT team like we saw go after Roger Stone to 6 o'clock in the morning, kicking in the pot farm owner's mansion. That thing was huge. And it's just a cash cow for the taxpayers. Somebody's going to have to pay for all this ICE protection. Just go after these people. Take it. That's probably 20, 30 million. The taxpayers can reap billions across the country. And if you go to the Social Security Administration, they know employers that have problems with Social Security numbers that are fraudulent. Just get the list, go to the employer, boom. And this is better than tariffs. I mean, billions and billions.
That's a great point, David. I appreciate it. I do. Thank you very much. Duly noted and registered. 855 Stigall if you want to get in here. He mentioned ICE a minute ago. I'm glad he did, because this is one of those things. There are really bad actors inside our borders that aren't illegal, but they are on college campuses. They are organized. They are promoted in some cases by CNN, and they are quite literally targeting our ICE officers, people that are out there trying to round these folks up and bust up these drug rings and these human trafficking rings and these illegal farming rings and all of this stuff. Professor Nicholas Giordano is a professor of political science at Suffolk Community College in New York. He's also part of Campus Reform, and there's a piece out there at Campus Reform headlined, "Ex-NYU Prof's Website Exposes ICE Agents with Facial Recognition as Assaults on Officers Surge 700%. These ICE guys, they're covering their faces out there now, Professor, and I welcome you in this morning, and people say, why do they have their faces covered? Well, because of the good professor at NYU, for starters. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. And it's completely ridiculous that you'd have a professor on a college campus, next professor at NYU, that would be showing the faces of ICE using facial recognition for the sole intent to dox them. That's what this is about. They want to shame, humiliate a law enforcement agency that is carrying out the executive functions that Congress passed. I mean, these are laws that Congress passed. It's completely ridiculous.
Is this criminal in your view, or no? When you create an app to target, identify law enforcement or federal law enforcement, do you think there's anything criminal about it, or it's just gross, for want of a better term?
It's just gross. I mean, it would be a very difficult case to prove criminal intent unless he's overtly threatening the ICE agents himself. So it's just gross. It shouldn't be happening. It should be condemned. However, he's just one of the many. I mean, listen, there are a lot of great professors in academia, but there are far too many professors that push ideology and activism over actual education. At Campus Reform, we just put out another story regarding a University of Chicago professor who labeled her own institution an evil colonial landlord and stated that her goal as a professor was to build Palestinian solidarity. Now, I don't know about her, how it's an American institution, should be promoting American values. But when you have professors on college campuses that want to push ideology and indoctrination, well, think about the chilling effect that has. I mean, would any student really challenge this professor in a classroom knowing that she's a fervent Palestinian supporter, Hamas supporter? And the second that you challenge her, it may impact your grades. You may see your grades suffer. You may be ostracized, embarrassed. This is unacceptable. It should not be taking place on college campuses. But for far too long, it's been tolerated. And I don't see why, because this has had a disastrous impact. I mean, 30% of generation Gen Z, 30% sympathize with Osama bin Laden. They believe that Osama bin Laden was a force for good in the world. And it shows you the warped thinking. And where does that stem from? It stems from a broken education system where ideologues have taken over.
We're talking to Professor Nicholas Giordano. He's with Campus Reform. He's also a professor of political science at Suffolk Community College in New York. This kind of virulent anti-Semitism that's been bubbling up on college campuses, certainly led by professors, we understand that, but why, this is more of a philosophical question perhaps, why does it feel like, maybe it's not a reality, but it feels like young Americans are gravitating more and more to being sympathetic to Islamists, Professor? I've been trying to get my head around it. Is it as simple as indoctrination, or is there something more? And by the way, I'd be dishonest if I didn't say it feels like there are some on the quote conservative side, or in my tent, that seem to be tilting that way a little bit too. Is that your read?
It is. I mean, listen, we've seen anti-Semitic incidents increase by 433% since the October 7th attacks on college campuses. We've seen a surge in anti-Americanism. And I think you're hitting on something. And I try and wrap my head around it as well, because there's a mutual contradiction, right? There can't be a better contradiction than Queers for Palestine. I don't see how that even works. So you have these students that have this progressive ideology, and yet they're supporting Islamists, which is a hardcore Salafist sect, Wahhabi sect of Islam that despises everything progressives stand for. So it's bizarre, but I think it shows the lack of critical thinking amongst our youth, that our youth are not trained to think critically about the issues. And because they're told that they're privileged, that they live in the United States. I mean, let's face it. Let's be honest here. They hit the lottery being in the United States. They're shielded from a lot of horrors that go on around the world. And so I think that they don't necessarily have a sense of purpose. They feel they don't. We see that in the mental health numbers. And so they just grab onto any issue that they feel is going to make them a virtue signal, a moral holy warrior for the 21st century. So I think they grasp these issues to fill a void in their own lives.
Boy, that's really smart. Not feeling like you have much of a purpose or a focus or a mission. Overall, and I know this is your living, so I don't mean to strike right at the heart of it, but I am curious. I hear from many college campuses around the country that enrollment on physical college campuses anyway is down pretty dramatically. Do you guys hear that at Campus Reform too, that people seem to be kind of turning their back on that traditional collegiate experience?
There's no doubt that some are. I mean, let's face it, COVID had a massive impact, and also when it was exposed what students are learning, well, people began to question the worth and value of a 4-year degree. Now, it ranges from college to college whether enrollment's increasing or decreasing. But overall, 50% of employers within the last year have done away with 4-year degree requirements. A lot of students no longer see the cost versus benefit analysis when it comes to 4-year degree programs. You are seeing a little bit of an enrollment surge in community colleges. Obviously, the Ivy Leagues, for the most part, are fine. But we're also facing an enrollment demographic cliff. As American society ages, as students are aging, we don't have enough students to fill seats. And so a lot of universities are looking overseas to get foreign students into those seats, which opens up a whole nother can of worms. But colleges, a lot of them did this to themselves. I mean, there is a reckoning in higher education that I warned about 5 years ago, and that reckoning is now here. Because they pushed ideology over education, they've devalued their own institutions. They've devalued their own degree programs. And we're seeing the result of that. So if they want to earn back the trust and the public confidence, they have to get back to intellectual growth, critical thinking, teaching students how to solve problems, not indoctrinate them with far left ideological causes.
Professor Nicholas Giordano, great stuff at Campus Reform. A couple of different pieces, and one of them you can go to @PAS Report, by the way, if you want to read more, and campusreform.org to read some of the work that Professor Giordano has written there. Appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for kicking off the week with us, sir. Hope you'll come back.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Man, it looks like they're still getting rain there in Kerrville, Texas, by the way, which is that is the last thing they need, of course. We're looking live at Erie, Pennsylvania this morning on the Salem News Channel, listening on WZTE 103.3 there in Erie. Thanks a lot for listening on great radio stations like 103.3 in Erie, and thanks for watching on the Salem News Channel. As promised, this show will continue to be a fire hydrant, a free flow of information and comment. And so if you want to come in here and you have comments, I heard all weekend long, as you probably did. I saw on social media all weekend long, as you probably did if you follow it, but I always recommend you try not to spend a lot of your free time doing that. Go out, touch grass, get some air, which I did, which is why I'm in a great mood this morning. Got out on the water, did a little fishing, got some sun, and just ignored all this. But I checked in on occasion, and I saw that all weekend long, a lot of notable names in our tent were continuing to pop off about Donald Trump and some grand cover-up. So, I have pledged this. Until this story sorts itself out or goes away to the satisfaction of these people, open floor, open phones. I am not afraid to talk about this. I have no agenda with it. All I know for sure is Donald Trump has done more in 6 months than any president has done in my life. And he's done more to better this country than any president has ever done in my life. And for that, I support him and I thank him. And I continue to cheer him on. There are some, for whatever reason, I'm not going to assign the motive. I don't know their hearts and I don't know their heads, but there are some inside our tent that have decided all of this deserves derailing because of last week and their lack of satisfaction with the Epstein stuff. Okay, I'll hear it. Not going to fight with you. You're certainly welcome to feel that way if you wish. 855 Stigall. Let's go to Brian in Virginia. Brian, glad you called. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Good. I just had a quick point. If the Epstein files, if they had the proof that they were guilty, there would be indictments. But if they released a list without proven guilt, that would leave Pam Bondi and the administration liable because anybody on that list, life would be destroyed through social media, doxing, and everything else.
I have heard it said that Trump is mindful of the people involved with this, quote, list or this case. And yes, that in fact there are people whose lives would be destroyed. Bill O'Reilly, for instance, claims that he had a conversation with him back on St. Patrick's Day. And Trump said to Bill O'Reilly, effectively, I'm paraphrasing, there are people intertwined in this storyline that weren't abusing children, but were doing business with him or traveled with him or had dinner with him. And if we just open up the floodgates of information to the public, it will destroy lives that have nothing to do with the grotesque stuff he was doing. So you think that's the case?
I think that's part of it. It would be irresponsible to release a list of names that had done business with this guy. It would, anybody on that list, if I'm on that list, if you're on that list, our lives are destroyed. Our careers are destroyed. We have no chance. And we are guilty. Even if we're proven innocent, the damage would be done. And there's no way to come back from that. And
are you angry? Do you think Donald Trump is covering something up? Sincere question. And there's no wrong answer. I'm just asking. Do you think he's covering something up?
No, but I think he is being careful. If you release it, you open yourself to libel claims, just like he won with ABC, and hopefully he goes after AOC after calling him a rapist this weekend. You open yourself up because anybody that feels that his life is destroyed, the only thing they can do is sue the government, sue DOJ, sue Donald Trump for destroying their lives.
He said, Brian, on Truth Social this weekend, Pam Bondi's doing a great job. Let her do her job. She's aces. How do you trust him on that? Do you believe that's true?
Yeah, I think so. I think she advised him that if we release this information, because he's the one that said it was going to be done. And I think her as a lawyer, and maybe if there's other lawyers listening, maybe they can chime in on whether it would be liable for him to release a list without concrete proof. And if they had concrete proof, why aren't there indictments on these people? I think it's as much as the...
Yeah. Brian, you dropped off there, but loud and clear. Got your point. I appreciate it. 855 Stigall is how you reach me today. And I got another hour for you. You want it? Come on in. I'll take all comers. This is the Stigall Show. Here we are, 2025. Happy New Year. And our friends at Gulag America are back and along for the ride. They have been not only great sponsors, but they have been ride or die founders at the Coverup Society. I'm so appreciative for our friends at Gulag America. I love the work they do. And we have every reason to be optimistic in this new year. They are, we are, all of us are. America's resurgence, it's back. Trump's back. And Gulag America wants to continue to be your premier source for topical and satirical apparel and other gear designed to help give you voice for your love of liberty and your desire to see America great again. I know we all share that in common. Gulag America does too, but that doesn't mean that the deep state's not going to be busy at work. They're not going to go gently into the good night, as they say. So Gulag America is ready. They want you battle ready. They want you geared up, and they've got hilarious stuff for you to buy, and they're going to give it to you at a deep discount to kick off the new year. You ready for this? You take 15% off all orders at gulagamerica.com when you use my promo code Chris15. So if you go shopping today and you see a shirt you like, and you will because they're hilarious, go to gulagamerica.com, type the promo code Chris15. That's Chris15. Type it in the checkout, and then you'll save big. Enjoy the new year. Enjoy new savings with that same quality, that same hilarious attitude that you've come to expect from our buddies at Gulag America, where they say, it's not our wish, it is our warning. Hey there, it's Chris from my good friends at Texas Bullion Exchange, the good people that tell you there is no reason to live with all of this angst and anxiety about the markets going up and the markets going down. Why don't you just do something that has helped people calm their nerves in volatile markets for years? Texas Bullion Exchange, real physical gold as part of your savings. That's what they do. It's not about getting rich quick, mind you. It's about helping protect what you've already earned. And if you join Texas Bullion Exchange's Principal Protection Program, you're going to get 3% bonus in silver on your entire gold portfolio. Now, this program protects the value of what you've earned. So when you put it into gold and then it's time to sell, you get back what you paid. Never less. In fact, usually it's more, but it's never less. And isn't that reassuring? This program protects the value of your gold. Take the pressure off. You and your loved ones can face the future with confidence when you put gold in your savings and claim your 3% in bonus silver when you do it. 855-839-2728 is their number. 855-837-2728. Or visit buytexasgold.com. Again, 855-839-2728 or buytexasgold.com. It's Texas Bullion Exchange. Experience, integrity, and value. How do you do, folks? I welcome you in on this Monday edition of the Stigall Show. Thank you so much. I hope your weekend was a good one. Thank you so much for choosing us, because I know that there are a ton of places you could be today. And the fact that you're with us, it means a great deal. Maybe now more than ever, because I know that there are a lot of shows out there that are trying to dispirit you, that are trying to squash your enthusiasm for this administration, that are trying to tell you up is down and black is white, and really starting to kind of try to muddy, I think, the waters and confuse. And I don't know why. I don't have an answer for that. But I'm not going to be a part of it. I know this audience doesn't want to be a part of it. I've heard from a number of you. But if there are people in this audience that want to call and vent their frustrations or what have you, because I hear that there are many, if you're to believe what people are writing about the MAGA movement right now, you're to believe that there are many, many people that are just furious and livid with Donald Trump. I don't actually believe that. I believe there's a faction, but I don't actually believe that's true of most of this audience. But again, I fear nothing. I don't live in a place of fear. So if you want to come in today and talk to me about whatever's on your mind, you're always welcome to do it. And until this whole Epstein thing either runs its course or runs out of steam or gets figured out or we move on to something else, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know how real the passion is for it, but I'll hear it, and you're welcome in at 855-STIGAL if you want to come and be a part of it today. Now listen, the one big beautiful bill is a critical element of Donald Trump's success so far, because it's codified no tax on tips, it's codified no tax on overtime, it's helped with the codification of a no tax on much of Social Security. You can write a lot of that off now come tax time. There's a lot about the tax structure that we can now count on going forward, but one of the things that was not tackled during this entire thing was health insurance. Very specifically, if you buy your own health insurance. Americans for a Balanced Budget is sounding the alarm on key health care tax credits that are set to expire at the end of this year. And if that happens, some 24 million of you who buy your own health insurance could either be paying a lot more for coverage, or some health insurance companies could just fold up altogether. Rural communities would be hit especially hard with job loss, fewer providers and the like. So Congress has got to do something. This session, to protect these vital tax credits for Americans who buy their own health insurance. If that's you, here's what you can do about it. Work with Americans for a balanced budget. They're calling on Congress to protect the full promise of the One Big Beautiful Bill by preventing a devastating health care tax hike. Your voice counts in this. StopHealthCostHikes.com. StopHealthCostHikes.com. Tell them to protect these tax credits, stop rising costs, and act before it's too late. Our friends at Americans for a Balanced Budget sponsor portions of the Chris Stigall Show, and we are glad for it. Glad they're here. I wrote at the Harumph Society, which I've got another edition coming out today, and I talk about this Epstein stuff. The other part of the Donald Trump presidency in this second term is trying to get to the bottom of who killed him or tried to kill him, because I believe it was allowed to happen. I believe this Crooks guy that climbed up on that roof in Butler, Pennsylvania, and took shots at him, he was allowed to do it. And we know very little about him. Fast Eddie, correct? True or false? We know very little about Mr. Crooks.
Still.
The late Mr. Crooks.
I don't know anything more than I did, maybe a month after a year ago. Yep.
And yet, Donald Trump came out this weekend and said he's satisfied with what the Secret Service has found and the corrections they've made to fix this problem. Did he not?
Yes.
So is Donald Trump covering up his own attempted murder?
Oh, I don't think so. No.
I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's walk it out. Yeah. I think it's important that we walk this out. Now, Trump put out a Truth Social post over the weekend, and he said, "Guys, you know not what you do here. You're gnashing of teeth over this Epstein thing. You're missing the forest for the trees, and you're taking some bait. I don't know what he knows. I don't know what he's suggesting. I don't know. But what I do know is that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and their abuses of power, along with guys like James Comey and Clapper and Brennan, Trump he's focusing on this like a laser, and he has said that Bondi and Patel and others are digging around in their business, and they're going to town and working on this stuff, and he's actually sort of intimating that there's a lot to do with them and this Epstein stuff that are causing him today's problems. I mean, you're talking about an Obama administration that colluded with elements inside the CIA and the FBI and the DOJ to fabricate and promote the hoax that Donald Trump was conspiring with Russia to win an election or undermine it in 2016. That warrants further investigation. Trump is warning us there were some really sinister people inside our government trying to fix an election, rig it, abusing power to rig it. John Ratcliffe at the CIA has affirmed that this was a calculated effort by Obama and Comey and Clapper and Brennan to sabotage Trump. The Steele dossier thing, that was garbage. And Clapper and that whole gang, they knew it. Obama, all those people that signed off on that, they knew it was garbage. And yet they insisted on including that in an intelligence assessment to elevate its credibility and drive Trump from office. And they lied to Congress. Comey himself violated FBI regulations by launching a baseless case, deceiving the FISA court with a dossier to obtain spy warrants on Americans. Transcripts prove that whole bunch, McCabe, Brennan, Comey, Clapper, they made false statements under oath. This was an engineered scandal, and it was leveraged to secure Democrat control of the House in 2018, and they used heightened investigations and media frenzies to mislead voters. It was a deception, and Trump is saying there's more deception afoot right now. I'd hear it. I'd hear it. The Russia hoax, the 2018 manipulations, the 2020 deceptions, the election fraud and abuse, the raiding of Donald Trump's home, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. It's huge. It's everything. It's the Republic, actually. It's the Republic as we know it. Trump's home being raided and him being nearly murdered would have meant permanent Democrat reign. I'm confident of it. This country was nearly lost to the Democrats in perpetuity, I believe, by a millimeter. Literally. And so you tell me today, some would say that the Epstein thing is the biggest thing cooking. And Donald Trump says, are you kidding me? Do you know what we're investigating here? Kash Patel, incidentally, who everybody loved, says, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not sitting on anything, and we're going to stay on this thing. Dan Bongino apparently left for a few days last week, angry. Trump says he talked to Bongino, everything's copacetic, and that Bongino's coming back to work today. I don't know. We'll see. I know there are a lot of people that do what I do now telling you that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi can't be trusted. Trump must do the following things to please them. And I say, all due respect, sitting behind a microphone is not governing and leading the country. I didn't win 77 million votes. Donald Trump did. Other hosts who are sitting behind microphones and looking into cameras today and joining your podcasts telling you what Donald Trump must do didn't win 77 million votes. Donald Trump did. And Donald Trump is saying, trust me on this. I know what I'm doing. I know how close we came to losing the republic. We're on it. We're looking into this. There's stuff you don't know. There's stuff I can't say. You're going to have to trust me. And I do, because he's given me no reason to not. But there are some in our midst, for whatever reason, that are telling you you ought not trust him now. It's so funny. Yesterday I was in worship. We had a guest sermon, a guest preacher, and he read from 2 Timothy chapter 3. I almost wonder, I wanted to go up to him and ask, was it because of what's going on? Know this, difficult times will come in the last days, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable slanderers, without self-control, brutal, without love for what is good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to the form of religion but denying its power. For among them are those who worm their way into households and capture idle women burdened down with sins, led along by a variety of passions, always learning, never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. Always learning, never coming to the truth. Always learning, never coming to the truth. What is the truth? The truth is the Word of God, of course. All those who want to live a godly life, skipping ahead in Christ Jesus, will be persecuted. Evil people and impostors will become worse, deceiving and being deceived. But as for you, continue in what you have learned and firmly believed, the Word of God. We do not fear here. We soldier on.
On this one-year anniversary of Butler, what was going through your mind this morning when you woke up? I know that you're praising God you're alive, but a lot of people want to know how you're taking this day on this one-year anniversary.
God was protecting me. Maybe because God wanted to see our country do better or do really well, make America great again. But God was protecting me, Brian. I'll tell you, it's the more you think about it, the more you see it. But no, I don't like to think about it much. You know, I have a job to do, so I don't like to think about it much. It's a little bit of a dangerous profession being president, but I really don't like to think about it too much. I think you're better off not thinking about it. I think.
Yeah, I don't doubt that's true. That's President Trump. A lot of people believe that the president has become a man of much deeper faith. I've heard that said by people that do know him. He certainly made comments as such, and I don't know how you couldn't, by the way. I don't know how you couldn't reflect on being more prayerful and reflective when you're that close to losing your own life. Let's go to Alan in California, waiting patiently. 855 Stigall is how you reach me today, by the way. Alan, thanks a lot for waiting. I appreciate it. Good morning.
Good morning. So my comment is, I'm not terribly concerned about what's in the Epstein files. I'm concerned about being able to trust Donald Trump to keep his word. In his campaign, he said he was going to let us know all of the facts about this, and now he's saying, go away, don't pay attention to it. I want to be able to trust him. I have to trust him on issues like the economy and tariffs, because I don't know enough. If I can't trust him, what's the point?
What don't you trust about him with this story?
He said in his campaign he was going to expose the truth. He was going to let us know all of the information. And now he's saying, go away, there's nothing there.
I'm not arguing with you or trying to talk you out of feeling the way you're feeling, so please understand. I'm just asking questions. Do you suppose that there are things about this that he thinks are of national security interests, or people that would be exposed that really aren't involved in this stuff that could be greatly harmed? Are there decisions that he has to make and things he knows that you and I don't know, and that's why he can't be as forthcoming with everything to the extent that you'd like? Is that possible?
I think it's absolutely possible. And I think if that's the truth, he owes us that explanation instead of forcing us to try to guess that might be the reason.
Now, that's fair. Alan, I think that's fair. And I think that's where Pam Bondi has fumbled miserably. I would love nothing more than for people to step forward and say, guys, we're sitting on some stuff that involves some names of some people that had nothing to do with this. And we can't, for legal reasons, we can't have these people savaged. There are victims we're trying to protect. There are people who were doing business with the guy that weren't doing anything criminal that we want to protect. National security could be jeopardized. I don't know. If people believe that he was an intelligence asset, does that mean that could start a war? I don't know. But I guess the question is, if Donald Trump knows things that he feels that just can't be released, is he doing it because he believes it's in the national interest of all of us that we put a lid on this and move forward? Are there things that he believes Bondi and Patel are investigating that are tied to it? He kind of suggested it in his post on Truth Social over the weekend. He kept referring to the Obama clan as being part of this Epstein distraction, which I found fascinating. Are there things we don't know? I mean, I think we have to hold out that possibility. Again, I'm just a guy hosting a talk show. I'm not privy to national security secrets. And I think most of the nation's probably grateful for that. This is the Stigall Show. Tulsi Gabbard this weekend, 2887. Now, here's another figure we haven't heard a lot from, but Tulsi, part of the national security apparatus, someone who is certainly of the left, and we know how she changed over the years. I mean, that was another thing I was thinking about this weekend. People that are critical of this administration, think of who they've brought in. RFK Jr.? I mean, one of the guys that maybe Big Pharma hates more than anybody on planet Earth? Tulsi Gabbard? I mean, this is not an administration, at least if you're to believe who these people were before the Trump administration became the Trump administration a second time. These are not people who made careers and got famous off of being pro-big deep state actors. Here's Tulsi, 2887.
You think the campaign was hard. You think what President Trump went through was hard, and it was. The road ahead will not be easy. I can attest personally that in my work as the Director of National Intelligence, the deep state is fighting us every step of the way. And it exists within every single federal agency. And so I feel the same frustration that I see many of you expressing on X or in different platforms about why aren't things going faster? Why aren't we getting results more quickly? I feel this frustration every single day. We are pushing hard. Know that they are pushing hard back.
So that's Tulsi Gabbard at the Turning Point convention. Silence, for the most part. That was received with silence. She wasn't heckled, but people weren't particularly enthused, I guess, either. I don't know. Do you not trust her? Is she not telling the truth now? You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing can snowball, and if some on our side allow themselves to go down this path, then everybody becomes suspicious. And I'm just not there. All right, let's go to William in New York. William, I'm glad you called. Welcome in to the show. Good morning, sir. Hi.
MAGA harumps, Chris, and MAGA Monday to all listening.
Rumpf to you, my friend. What's on your mind today? Thank you.
Well, I'm pretty much in agreement with the things that you said and some of the other callers said. I just have to remind people, Theodore Roosevelt wrote many years ago a piece called Citizenship in a Republic, and he described people like Trump as the man in the arena, that it is not the critic who counts, that it is the person who gets his face bloodied fighting the good fight. And we don't elect the president's advisors. We elect the president. And all of these people who support Trump turning on him in some sort of way, I can't understand their thinking. I think back to the way the country was a year ago, and I am absolutely tickled pink that things are going in the direction they are. And this idea that things are going to happen immediately. I mean, I know you, as well as anyone, believes in the kingdom. And God's time is not Earth's time, and things take time, and we just have to trust the process. What else are we going to trust? God is the only thing to trust. If we have to trust a human being, I'm willing to trust Trump.
Thank you, my friend. Glad you called. That's William in New York. 855 Stigall. Let's go to Kelly in Alabama. Kelly, glad you called. Good morning. Thanks for waiting. Hello.
Good morning, Chris.
How are you today?
I love your show.
Well, thank you.
Well, the president has already said that some of these Epstein associates didn't go to the island. So exposing their name could ruin their life.
So you believe that stuff that hasn't been released that could be released is to protect people who would be caught up in this that didn't have anything to do with it?
Correct.
Yeah. You don't think he's hiding anything?
Biden and Garland had the victims sign non-disclosure agreements, and they were just paid out. Non-disclosure means secrecy.
Ron Johnson said this weekend, the senator from Wisconsin, Kelly, thank you very much, a year after a gunman came within a fraction of an inch of assassinating the 45th president of the United States, the American public remains in the dark on one of the darkest chapters in American history, and the senator leading this investigation said his committee is not an inch closer to knowing why the killer and would-be assassin, Thomas Crooks, did what he did. We had earlier reports about the geolocation of his cell phone, bopping all over Washington, D.C. We've not gotten any more information. Again, it's incredibly frustrating. Who's slow-walking it? Right? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Remember what Tulsi just said. There's a piece at the Washington Examiner by David Harsanyi, Why John Brennan Belongs in Prison. And he said it this way: to understand what little regard John Brennan, former CIA director, had for the truth of his position, recall an email uncovered in 2020. Former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morrell, who was working with the Biden campaign to concoct a talking point to push back on Trump during the final presidential debates, asked Brennan to sign on to that infamous disinformation letter about Hunter Biden's laptop. Okay, Michael, add my name to the list. Good initiative. Thanks for asking me to sign on, Brennan replied. And that's all it took for the former director of the CIA to sign his name onto a letter that would be the ostensible reason for a major story implicating a presidential candidate with corruption to be censored by virtually every legacy media outlet and major social media platform. Just think about the openly reckless ways in which Democrats spoke about Brennan's power. Samantha Power once cautioned critics that it isn't a very good idea to, quote, piss off John Brennan. At the start of the Russia collusion mania, Chuck Schumer noted that the intelligence community has, quote, 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. Well, what on earth did they mean? Surely Brennan, the CIA director who'd been given immense unchecked power overseeing secret kill lists and the power to make the final call on drone strikes around the world, including one on an American civilian, would never deploy the intelligence community against his domestic enemies. Of course he would. It was completely in character. After CIA agents ran an illegal domestic spying operation on the legislative branch of the United States government, Brennan tried to cover it up by blaming innocent Senate staffers, who could have ended up being prosecuted, by the way, and then lied about it to the legislature and the public. That alone should be a career-ending scandal, at the very least.
Yet, like another mendacious character, James Clapper, Brennan not only kept his job, but would be held up as a paragon of civic virtue by the Trump-obsessed political media. One only hopes his legacy will now be irreparably tarnished. That's a headline today from the Washington Examiner, Why John Brennan Belongs in Prison. So all of these things, whether it was Russia collusion or whether it was Trump's near murder or whether it was the raiding of his home or all the lawfare or, yes, even the Epstein list. Fast, Eddie. We have to trust that Donald Trump genuinely cares to get to the bottom of these things. And if we're going to light our heads on fire over one thing that we don't feel we know enough about right now, and he says have patience, who the hell am I to tell him to shut up? He nearly died. I don't know if that guy, again, if there are people saying we don't know enough about Trump nearly being murdered, and Trump says, trust me, we got this, calm down. Who am I to tell him he's bad, he's wrong, and damn it, I demand more? Who am I? He's literally the guy that was nearly murdered. And you say, well, you're an American, you're a taxpayer. Yes, but he's been the target of all of this deep state activity. Now he's inside with access to all of it, and you're telling me I'm supposed to yell at him and say, you're not doing enough fast enough for my liking. Can you explain that to me?
No, I can't. It almost seems as if it's artificial when you put it that way. Right?
You think this may be inorganic?
That's a better word for it. Yes. The when you just put it together there, yes, it does seem inorganic. Yeah.
Let's go to Frost in New York. Frost, I'm glad you called. Welcome into the show. Hello.
Well.
Good morning. Are you on?
Yeah. This is Jim here in Illinois. How are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Well, we'll try Jim in Illinois. My apologies. We had a guy on from New York, too. I think we hit the wrong line. But, Jim, you take it away. Thanks for your patience.
Well, thank you, sir. Hey, God bless Donald Trump, but I don't think this is really on Donald Trump. I think this is more on Bondi and Bongino and Rubio and O'Reilly, and I think this is a Catholic thing. Before Francis died, they were all willing to just come out with all this stuff, but then Francis dies, and then all of a sudden we have a North American Pope. And now I think they're saying, well, let's save the church. Let's save face. We need a North American pappy, and we're going to save the church. We're going to save this thing. And I think that they're pushing this stuff off to the side because there was people that Francis was responsible for that were on that manifest. I don't think it was a list. I think it's a manifest that they're looking for.
Well, now, can I just ask you this, Jim? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just asking you. So you think the Catholic Church is hip deep in this thing? I've been hearing all weekend long it's the Jews and Israel. So which is it?
I think they're tied together.
Okay.
How do you separate?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate the call. I'm making a little fun here, but it's, implicating a whole race or religion is a little difficult for me. Again, I'm not trying to talk you out of anything, but these are taking on. I don't know how do I say this. I'm trying desperately to talk about this in a delicate, diplomatic way. I don't know. Jared and Ivanka and Donald Trump has a whole arm of his family who are Jewish. 855 Stigall is the telephone number if you want to get in here. You can also email me and stay in touch at chrisstigall.com. 855 Stigall. Beautiful sunrise this morning in Phoenix, Arizona. The Patriot, 960 AM in Phoenix. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on the Salem News Channel, getting that app so you never miss it. Download the Salem News Channel app. It's free and it's easy to use. 855 Stigall is how you reach me today. I am increasingly withering away, shrinking. Every single week, I've lost just a little bit more. And even some weeks when I don't necessarily notice it literally on a scale in terms of pounds, I still can feel it. My clothes are bigger. I am shrinking, and it's all thanks to PhD weight loss. I want you to experience this same thing. If you are carrying around a bunch of extra weight and you feel kind of disgusted with yourself, I know that feeling well. And if you felt frustrated, like I just don't know what to do about it, or it's gotten too far along and it's too overwhelming to tackle, first step is picking up the phone today and reaching out. You don't have to leave to go anywhere. You don't have to do any kind of like extracurricular shopping. It's what I love about PhD weight loss. What's been so great is eating normal food, eating with people, friends and relatives, going to the restaurant, being navigated in such a way that I can lead a normal life from my home without spending tons of time in the kitchen measuring. And this is as little work for the most results as anything I've ever tried in terms of weight loss. And because Dr. Lucas crafted this plan to make it work for people who are busy or who just don't like to overcomplicate their lives any more than necessary, this is strictly through what you eat and when you eat it. It has nothing to do with shots. It's not pills. There's nothing gimmicky or magic about it. It's just progressive, steady weight loss if you stick to the plan. And if you're willing to call or reach out today and tell them you heard me bragging about them, they're going to give you 15% off the program if you're ready to fully commit. Listen, they guarantee results on this thing. If you don't lose weight, if you don't have success with it, money back for you. All right? But you're going to have success with it. And I started in March and I'm over 40 pounds down. It feels tremendous to enter the summertime and the heat of the summer and have 40 pounds off my frame. Trust me. It feels fantastic. I can't wait for you to experience the same thing. MyPhDweightloss.com. Fellas, you're going to have great luck with it. Yeah, so those of you that are like, I don't know, that sounds like work. Not really. They make it easy. Trust me, fellas. MyPhDweightloss.com or call 864-644-1900. 864-644-1900. And good luck to you and your weight loss journey. Joe Biden breaks his silence on the auto pen use. This came out at the New York Times, and it's, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, it's a stunner. Those that were reviewed, that is the auto pen signatures, by the Times, show that the Biden White House had a process to establish that Mr. Biden had orally made decisions in meetings before the staff secretary, Stephanie Feldman, who managed use of the auto pen and would put clemency records through the signing device. Did you hear that? Biden did not individually approve each name for the pardons. Rather, they asked Biden to keep signing revised visions. They didn't do that. His staff instead waited and then ran the final version through an auto pen. Mr. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people he and his aides confirmed. Who was running the country? This stupid old man was not. This feeble old husk, this shell of a human being, was not running the country. He didn't legitimately win election. And then when he got into office, somebody else was running the operation entirely. And we know that there were deep state actors involved in trying to keep Donald Trump at bay the entire time, trying to sideline his first administration, trying to keep him from winning again. Raiding his home, I believe allowing him to be killed, running him through. We know the number of people that dragged him through lawfare in courts were meeting at the White House. This Biden administration that really wasn't Joe Biden at all was a holdover of Barack Obama and a bunch of Marxist radicals that worked for Barack Obama and shared his ideology. This cabal of people nearly brought this republic down. It can't be overstated enough. We were in such a precarious, scary place. And by the grace of God, and I genuinely believe it, and I know the president genuinely believes it, by the grace of God, the hand of God himself made it possible that we have a shot to truly drain this swamp, gut this system, and fix what ails us. And Donald Trump put out a Truth Social this weekend, and he said, guys, you got to trust me. We nearly lost the country. Nobody knows it better than me. And my team is outstanding, and they're on it. And you got to trust me. They're working on the most important stuff to make sure we don't have a functionally impaired president who's got some shadowy figures behind him actually governing the country and trying to take out those that would rival
people in political power by weaponizing the government against them like we're some sort of third world dictatorial republic. And Donald Trump is taking on dictators all over the country. Donald Trump is challenging people who are rigging elections, like down in Brazil. He's slapping Brazil with 50% tariffs. He doesn't like this Bolsonaro guy and his communist dictates down there in Brazil. He's about to announce today, I think, it sounds like he's about to levy some massive tariffs against anybody that does business with Russia. He's going to try to crush Russia economically. He and Vance have been crisscrossing the country, talking about not getting involved in foreign wars, not telling other countries how to run their business, opening up the channels of free speech. And then, of course, domestically, he's doing everything he can to lock down the border, crack down on illegals, better our economy. We have a budget surplus as of June. And that's just some of it. And I'm so overwhelmed with gratitude, quite frankly, that there's a guy that's willing to take this on and how dark things got, how really dark things got. And it's why it disappoints me to see that some of my colleagues, who, by the way, have friendships with Donald Trump and stand alongside him, I don't have that. I can't call him up. A lot of these people can. And they choose to spend their time on their platforms and at events over the weekend sowing doubt and dissension and distrust of him. You're mad at the wrong guy. You're targeting the wrong enemy, gang, if you don't understand how perilously close we were to losing this country. See you tomorrow. So that's a wrap for another Chris Stigall Show podcast. Thanks for committing to it, listening to it all the way through. You're a fighter. I like that about you. Hope you'll leave it a 5-star review and a written review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We'll see you next time here on the Chris Stigall Show podcast.
The Chris Stigall Show podcast.